All right. I didn't see an intro play, so we're going to say we're good. Sometimes the sponsor video goes across, sometimes it's halfway through. Thank you, everybody, joining us tonight. We appreciate it. I see there's a few live already on YouTube. There'll be a few live. It usually picks up as we go. Tonight we have special guest Barry Breidegan, and Barry is with Forget Genetics, owner, operator, creator. You want me to put anything else out there? I can put it all there if you need.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. A delivery driver.
So I know Barry's very hard at work. He spent a lot of time creating this product, getting it where it has to be, and it is an incredible product. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let Barry take the show and let him tell a little bit about who he is, what he's about, and how it runs.
Absolutely. So everybody, my name is Barry Breidegan. I am the owner of Forget Genetics, a co-owner with my spouse of Forget Genetics. We're a deer nutrition company here out of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. Yes, there's many deer nutrition companies out there. It's one of the things when I started my company is like, why did you want to do this? You know, there's hundreds and hundreds of other companies out there. One of the big things that I learned a long time ago is you can't trust the basics. There's a lot of companies out there that talk about scientifically blended. They talk about this, they talk about that. The reality is, yes, there's a lot of science out there on both sides. Some people try to denounce that minerals don't work. We're on the opposite side of that, obviously. And there's a lot of science about how to grow bigger, healthier deer. Well, a lot of the stuff we've been buying for years from the shelves of Walmart, Tractor Supplies, things like that, are commercialized products. There's folks out there still buying the same 2-pound bag of salt. And I can't justify that with anything that we do. We try to create products that actually work. We try to create products that when you buy them, like our bags, for example, of minerals, 8-pound bag, $11.99. We want to make sure that you get your $11.99 worth out of that bag. We own, operate from the ground up. We own the mill. We don't outsource anything. Everything that comes in a package of ours actually comes from our mill here in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. We build our mill from the ground up, meaning that we didn't take any investors on. We bootstrap funded our entire company. Right now we're operating out of 2,000 square foot facilities, getting ready to break ground and at almost double our size here in the next few months, which we're really excited about. We owned all our blenders, all our mixers, bagging machines, etc. Everything from the ingredients down to put it in the packaging and delivering it. It is handled by somebody here at Forget Genetics, and it's typically a family member. This is a family-owned and operated business, so everything has that touch of family, that small business attitude. And going back to talking about creating a product and putting a lot of time and effort in, there's a lot of science, like I said, on both sides of this. A lot of independent science on it. Well, I already knew what it took to grow big deer. From the deer pens, the farming industry, et cetera, as well as from the education. But there's a difference in, sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. There was a difference in growing big wild deer versus growing pen deer. And this is one of the things that I'm a firm believer in. And doing my studies the way we did them, we did all our studies to develop our products on no fence and low fence properties. Public lands and private lands is where everything was developed. Meaning that I took all the knowledge from university studies, some of my own studies as well as other studies from different universities, and took that to the field. When developing for our mineral package, for example, there's a lot of different vitamins and minerals that a white-tailed deer needs. But one of the things we found is, and by buying other products and putting them out, we went as far as creating enclosed areas, fenced-in areas, and we followed direction. I followed the directions to the T of the way the manufacturer actually described me to use their minerals. And then we would take, some of them said rake the soil up and put them in the soil. Others just said dump them on the soil. So we went through that whole process, and we had controlled studied areas. We actually took those products, put them on the ground, and then we would go back and we would dig those products up because we wanted to see what the balance of numbers was. Everybody likes to talk about their numbers and their products. So what we did was we took, and then we dig them up. We'd send them out to an independent lab. A&L Great Lakes is who we actually utilize to do a lot of this stuff. So what we found is all these numbers everybody likes to talk about, a lot of it's lost. When you get down to your macros and things like that, even when it gets to the macros are not, you can't pick them up. You're not able to find them in any of the soil samples. Specifically, when you start dumping them on stumps or rake them in the ground, you just take those parts per millions and you dissipate them. They're gone. It's almost like when you're putting nitrogen on your soil, you lose quite a bit when it goes in the soil level. Besides all of that, learning in that process, that took me into developing our mineral package. And again, we still utilize some of those other minerals. So I selected the best mineral packages that we had out there that we used from our controlled environments, and we took them to the field. And this is where the studies really began. Whitetail interaction. You can't feed, in my personal experience, everything I've seen in my videos and my pictures, you cannot feed a pen deer the same thing you feed a wild whitetail deer. And it doesn't work that way. And what we found is with a lot of these other mixes, they're just pretty much blended by someone else and thrown in a bag, throwing a deer sticker on them. What would happen is you can see the whitetail deer come in, specifically our doe and our buck, our mature buck. And they would come in and they'd hit a mineral site. And they would hit that mineral site, they wouldn't come back to it. And it would take maybe a week or two for them to come back to that mineral site, if they came back at all. But typically it took heavy dews and heavy rains to dissipate some of that mineral into the soil. So it was called sour mouthing, which in the calving industry is trying to get a calf from milk onto hard feed. Sometimes it's difficult. Well, I noticed this right out of the gate with with a lot of these mineral packages. It was too bitter. And one of the most bitter pieces of a mineral is a phosphorus. So phosphorus is very hard to get a whitetail deer to eat because it's very bitter. Some companies won't even put it in their mineral packages. One, because it's expensive, and two, because it's hard to get the deer to eat. So they rely on their salt calcium, which whitetail deer can't use any of that calcium without the phosphorus. It just doesn't work biologically. So taking this into account, this is where we start developing and blending our own minerals and adding the ingredients together. Again, having the ability to own the mill and having the ability to own all these tools and my resources, I could change things, move things without having to buy tons of another product, and go to call the mill and say, hey, can you put these numbers in a super sack for me and have them delivered? I didn't have to do that. So we could actually blend and figure this out on our own and start writing my white papers on it. And that's what we did. One of the key things that I do is we flavor infuse our minerals. So we're not high in salt content. So a lot of folks out there, they'll put a lot of salt into a deer mineral. Well, salt doesn't grow big antlers. And what happens too often, you'll see a lot of pictures, a lot of these heavy salt minerals out there, you'll see a ton of pictures all spring and summer. And all of a sudden, as it starts cooling down, the end of August, September, getting closer to hunting season, those deer start to move. They pull off those mineral sites because they no longer need that salt. They can also get addicted to that salt, but they'll start pulling off of it. Like the rocks of salt, without naming names, we know what they are. Again, you'll see great pictures, but again, there's no antler growing essentials in there, and the deer just continuously hit that salt. But again, once it starts cooling down, they won't need it anymore. The whitetail deer really needs that salt during the summer months because they're taking a lot of green vegetation, helps their bodies process potassium, things of that nature. But I wanted to create a mineral package that worked 365 days a year. And that's what I was after. I didn't want just that. I didn't want a gimmick. I didn't want to put a gimmick in a bag and steal people's money. That's not what we're about. And I don't believe you can create a company as a small person like myself by doing so. Big corporations, yes, they get away with it because they have the shelves of Walmart and they have the shelves of Tractor Supply, but we don't have that. So that's why what we developed, I put a lot of time and effort into it, years of studies, and to the point I didn't even want to sell this stuff. It wasn't about me. It was actually friends of mine, which Jim Harner's brother, Rich, he was one of them. They all convinced me, is like, we need to sell this stuff, man. You need to market this stuff, and that's where we took it to market. I didn't want to. We went as far as investing in our packaging, every bit of it. When we first started, we had 8-pound bags of minerals. We didn't have the 40-pound buckets yet, but we had the 8-pound bags of minerals, and we started putting it in stores. And what was happening is someone come in and buy a bag, and then they come back and buy the rest of the bags. So one of my store owners said, "Barry, you really need to put this in a 40-pound bag." And I'm like, I can't do that. Yes, I can do it, easily do it. But the problem with that is, as a consumer and as a hunter, if I put anything in a 40-pound bag like that, it's going to end up in two places: all over the back of my truck or all over the shop. So I spent a lot of resources trying to figure out finding a good bucket company that would work with us without having to order, a million buckets. And we did. We found a good resource for our buckets, and they work well with us. So that way we can actually take and package a product then in that bucket, and then not worry about when it gets to the consumer that it turns into a rock or it's spilling all over the place. And then you get this nice, sexy bucket after the end. You watch the wife's truck or what have you. So you always have that bucket then. So
yeah, it'd be a sexy bucket.
That's right. You got the sexy bucket. Yeah, when you put anything, if you ever had grass seed in your garage, you got the big bag of grass seed. Where does it all end up? It ends up all over the garage. And,
I agree totally.
When you spend all that money on something, I want to make sure that you got your money's worth out of it. And we take that to our soul here at Forget Genetics. We truly do. Every bit of what we sell, we take to the soul. We try not to. Sorry, got a text message. Just lost my brain train of thought there for a second. But we try to invest and put our best foot forward. Even in our packaging, we could have easily taken and put it in a black coffee bag or a paper sack or what have you and sold it. But that's not who we are. We have a quality product. We have quality ingredients. So we want a quality packaging. And every bit of what we do comes in a custom printed quality package. We first started, we had the same bag for all of our mineral flavors. All we did was change the flavor on the front. But now at this point, each bag has its own, or each flavor has its own bag. Down to all the deer that you see on my packaging, those aren't my deer. Those are customers' deer. So since we've started in 2020 and I launched our company in 2020, all the folks that sent us pictures and gave us authorization, we put those pictures right on those bags for them.
That's pretty awesome. So they didn't ask you, they did nothing. These are results. This is pictures.
Absolutely. Our customers' results, their success is my success. And that we always believe that.
I think that's a great way to look at things, honestly. Without the success of them, your product doesn't move.
That's exactly right. I could be a nice guy all day long, but without their success of our products, I mean, you can sell one bag to a person and I can make $11.99 on a bag, but you can't make a living and you can't make a successful company that way. You need a customer to come back and continue to use your products.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. How many? I know some of them. How many different flavors you have out there at this moment?
So we did have 5 flavors. We had apple, acorn, sweet corn, persimmon, and peanut butter. We actually had to drop the sweet corn. One, it wasn't a very big seller for us. 2 is the ingredient. So we developed our own flavors, and we have somebody manufacture. That's the only piece that we have somebody do for us. They manufacture that ingredient for us. But one of the ingredients that goes into making that flavor went from $5 a pound to $26 a pound. So we had to sit back and look at that and say, it's not a big seller. We can't pass that cost along to our customers. We don't feel right doing it. So what we did was we changed that flavor out. So we're getting ready to launch our new berry flavor, which is our Mayberry blend, which is we'll carry that in a mineral as well as our blocks, as well as our protein-based attractants.
2 things quick. One,
yes,
you got to be careful when telling Ben about flavors because he's known to eat deer corn.
Hey, let me tell you what. That's a funny thing you say that. our Apple Jacks and Persimmon Pops, and even our Mayberry Magic, you can actually, that's our protein attractant. It's a natural grain form. It's not a ground up powder, none of that. But you can actually take that and put it in your mouth, and it'll taste like real apples, real persimmons, and real berries, real wild berries.
I'm going to have to be the judge of that, Chris. He's going to have to send us cupfuls.
I was going to say, yeah, send him a handful of each. He'll try it.
I can't count with two hands how many shows I went to where customers of ours actually took that and put it in their mouth. And like, even our minerals, because we use the same flavorings in our minerals. We don't use spray on flavors. We actually, it's our spray on aromas. We actually use flavorings to do this. It's something different, unique in the industry. It does. It adds that. That's one of the successes with our masking that harshness of the phosphorus down our mineral. That flavoring actually helps mask that, to allow and make it more palatable for the white-tailed deer to consume. So instead of burning their tongue, it like I said, it's taking that dog's pill and wrapping it in a piece of bologna or piece of bacon or what have you. That as an example, and that's one of the reasons that you'll see deer continuously turn to our mineral sites, is because it's not harsh, it's not bitter.
One of the things I was looking at your site, because that's one of my jobs, that I really liked was this thing.
What's that? So that is not my product. That is just one of our partners. It's called the Block Silver. Air Boss out of Texas actually manufactures those. We connected, I think it was last year we connected through a colleague of ours. He's actually one of our biologists from Kentucky. Actually put us two together. He has those manufactured. So what you do is it's a regular T-post. You slam it in the ground, and that pan sits on that T-post. What that does then is gives you the ability to put your protein block on there, as well as put persimmon pops, apple jacks, corn, what have you, around the pan. And there are a few holes drilled in it as well. And what happens then is it keeps the block elevated off the ground from mold. It helps keep the raccoons off of it. Specifically down south, hogs. Hogs are a nuisance down south. You put a block on the ground down south, forget it. The hogs are going to just tear it up. Well, this elevates it off the ground away from the hogs.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you didn't interrupt. That was pretty neat.
No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right.
I thought that was a great question. So,
no,
we talked about your packaging, the creating of the product, where you started, where you're at, and I'll be honest with you. You and I have met through a bunch of friends who have up and down told me about your product. So of course I tested it, right? That's what I got to do. So I tested some. I sent some with Mike, who's one of our BSO members, and he tested some. And I was the funniest part, which I told you off camera, for me was it didn't stand a chance. The turkeys destroyed it before the deer ever got to it.
Yeah, and again, it's a deer mineral, so. A good friend of mine, I was telling you, Joe Willis. He's one of the owners of Trees and Camouflage Company. We partnered up. One of the reasons, him and Mike Austin, they both tried my products, fell in love with them. Joe, when he took it home, he stuck it out. He had the apples actually stuck out, and he put some apple mineral out. Same thing. Had 3 big gobblers on it at one time. I had an armadillo on it, had fox on it, had deer on it. And he called me. I was like, buddy, what is in this stuff? And we've been great friends ever since. Mike Austin on our Facebook page here, I think it was last week, shot one of the biggest bucks ever off his property and gave us a great write-up. He's so appreciative. He's used our products now for a year and a half, two hunting seasons, and has seen significant growth on his animals. And it was just these guys have been in the industry for quite a long time, or around the industry for quite a long time, and to get that positive feedback from these folks is just, again, I know what I could do. I know what I did. I know the stuff, the hard work I put into the science, the outside the university science, actually in the field studies. But for people like that to come back and show me their pictures, and anybody to show me their pictures and listen to the stories, it makes it all worthwhile. It truly does. Like, we go to shows, I can't count how many shows we go to now a year, but looking at pictures, right now we have in the state of Virginia alone, on my large scale clients, that's not individual sales or show sales. On the large scale clients, my products are being used in approximately 30,000 acres. private land, 15,000 acres down towards Virginia Beach area, and approximately 15,000 acres on the Bath County on the western side of Virginia. And I was just talking to one of my clients down in the Virginia Beach area, and they are so excited because they believe they're going to shoot their first 200-inch deer this year in the state of Virginia. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yes, we are going to shoot. And they shoot some big deer every year. If you see me at a show, I show you my Virginia Beach clients' deer, and these boys shoot some big deer. They put a lot of work in, and they put a lot of minerals in. And yeah, and faith, talk about faith where you and I earlier. It's funny how it works too down in the state of Virginia or down south. Once one person uses it, they go to church, and everybody wants to know how they're growing big bucks. And the next thing you know, the pastor's ordering it, and I deliver to the pastor's house. And it's funny how it works. And when one person using it, they see the success out of it, the next person buys it from, and the next person. And we love that aspect of it. No matter how big this company would ever get, we never want to lose that at all. We love that person being personable with every one of our clients out there, being able to call me on the phone, text me on the phone, social media. That's who we are.
Jesus hunts too. I believe that.
Absolutely.
I've always said it. He had to. I mean, as much as us rednecks have the itch to do it, he had to.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about faith, and in the Bible, it talks about livestock and wild animals, and I take that mindset to everything we do. You can feed a cow, or you can feed a pen deer, you can feed a goat, you can feed a sheep, something. It's completely different than a wild animal. Wild animal lives on their instincts. They live on their survivability skills, their noses, their ears, and it's a completely different atmosphere when you get inside the pen. Those of you raise deer, you're in a pen. There we focus on genetics. Genetics make a huge difference inside the pen. But the reality of it is, in the wild, I mean, there's many studies on this as well. It's really hard for us to affect genetics on wild whitetail deer. And that's where our name came from, forget genetics. My job is trying to push people to look at the nutrition side of it, maximize the genetics that you have, work with the genetics that you have. We believe in genetics wholeheartedly, but let's take that equation out, because you're not going to affect it. You truly aren't. You can call bucks and you can do everything else on your property, but it's really difficult to affect, unless you are like one of my larger clients, where you have 13,000 acres of your own or 15,000 acres of your own. There you can actually, yes, the buck that are born on your property you'll have somewhere on your property possibly. But, those of us that have, 30 acres, 300 acres, things like that, our button bucks that are born on our property, those are not our bucks. Those bucks move, the following spring, mama kicks them away. Sometimes they get kicked out earlier, and they wander, which brings me to another point. You're trying to capture those button bucks. So those button bucks that get kicked off someone else's property, you want to capture them on your property and give them a reason to be on your property. Whether you're using food plots in there, whether you're using minerals, flavor infused minerals, give them a reason to stop and stay on your property, and then they become your mess. And it's just, that's where, again, learning more about this, some mindsets you won't change out there. It's just, you won't. But in today's world, we're getting smarter and smarter every day on how this works. And the more and more we can educate folks on deer nutrition and focus less on the wild genetics, the better off we'll be.
Barry, I just seen your tattoo. I don't know if you've seen mine. I have to show you this quick.
So I have my children. I have my children on my arms and my grandchildren on the back of my arms.
I love it. My kids are on my arms too, but the big sexy takes over. Hey, I'll tell you what, I'd like to go back to the beginning. So you tested the product. You were confident with it. You're ready to release it. So let's talk results.
Yes.
So tell me what results you got and what bucks started coming that really changed this.
So I can talk all day about my deer. My deer, from developing this, not just my deer, people that let us use their properties as well. Andrew, you started using this stuff. You're a great guy. But I like to use other examples outside my deer. Yes, we see significant growth because this is what we're doing, and I'm overdoing it because I own the stuff. So, but we talked earlier about Mr. Ray Petro. You know, he is he's an outfitter in Kansas. They outfit on 10,000 acres out there. Well, Kansas, guess what? They grow big deer for breakfast. They don't really need anything. Well, I met that gentleman, a very good friend of mine, at the Harrisburg Outdoor Show, the Great American Outdoor Show, our first year there. And he lives here, Bloomsburg area. I guess that would be considered Bloomsburg area where you
Yep,
go.
yep. Well, yeah, it's close to there. Yeah,
Close enough. And I gave him some products to try. And he told his son Jacob, he says, "Hey, take this up back. Do like that guy said." He says, "Just dump it on a stump, put a camera on it." Well, that night the family went to a local basketball game, and his camera just started exploding. And he called me up. He said, "What's in this stuff?" I said, "Well, I can't tell you that, Ray." Well, we set up a meeting. It's on the bag. But we set up a meeting, come down here to the house, which I really appreciated. We sat down. He and a friend of his came on down to visit me, and we got talking. And what we did was we tracked that deer all summer long. Jacob hit that, follow the directions, hit that deer all summer long. Now, mind you, sorry, our light keeps going out, so I'm motion sensor. My apologies. But they followed that deer all summer long, and but that fall, and we tracked it via pictures. And if you ever see us at a show, we'll show you these pictures. That deer added almost 30 inches of mass, but in that same year. And that's the thing about our products. It doesn't take generations to develop. You know, you can have an effect the same year. Now, it does have generational effects down the road, specifically with your doe getting healthier doe, bigger doe, but you can see it the same year. Another prime example, we sponsored a 3D archery shoot for some fellas down in Maryland. These two young gentlemen, actually from Pennsylvania here, they won some products as well. They won a few bags. Well, they came back, bought some buckets, and they ran that product all winter, spring, and summer. Same thing, over 30 inches of mass that they were adding. And everybody tells me my numbers are wrong. Everybody tells me I'm not putting this in there, I'm not putting that in there. And I'll agree with you 100%. I'm not. My products are different. And what I mean by different is because how it was developed in the field with that natural whitetails palate of being able for them to consume it. If your product is too harsh, they're not going to eat it. You know, you need the animal to actually consume it and then actually consume it on a regular basis. But that was one of the two key focuses of my studies. One was intake and one was frequency. How often did they visit that mineral site and how do you get that into the animal? That's where, again, owning the mill here, I know exactly what goes in that same mineral package every time. So we use the same ingredients so that when you dump it on the ground, you can see the different minerals on that pile. I know you might have taken notice of that when you had yours.
Yep.
Well, they're each handpicked for a specific reason. How they're absorbed into the ground and also absorbed into the animal. How the animal intakes that mineral. And again, when you have something packaged for you, you don't know what you're getting. You're getting a bunch of numbers on a bag. You truly are. The mill got this ingredient over here cheaper this month, or this ingredient over here cheaper this month, and we don't do that. We use the same ingredients the same way every time. We mix and blend here in our facility so that it's the same way. We don't take any chances. We already know what it takes, and why break that success.
So you're like a drug dealer for deer.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry.
Hey,
perfect measurements, perfect. But no, I get it. I mean, I get it. Listen, it's like any product out there, right? And it goes for anything. And I'm not the guy who does what you're doing, but I can tell you this. I can go to the store and buy it off a shelf, and it'll taste this way one time, and it tastes different another time. Or one time I have 8 ounces more and 4 ounces less, right? Because it just runs through the conveyor belt, never stops or never gets looked at.
That's exactly right. And you lose that heart of it, of actually what's going in that package. It's a Monday or Friday mentality. Well, we don't have Mondays and Fridays. We're all hunters here in my family. Every one of us is a hunter. Every one of us has a vested interest in what we do. Our Apple Jacks, persimmon pops, like down to our salty logs. So I'm a Pennsylvania native. Okay, you can't bait deer in Pennsylvania, and I understand that. But we do have a bait here that I developed. It's called our salty log. I'm not sure if you've seen it on our website or not.
Yep.
But it's a real piece of wood that I've actually we have a process where we put that in a negative atmosphere chamber of a brining solution of apple flavor, molasses, and salt. And it turns that real piece of wood into a bait log. Yes, it's bait. You can't bait in Pennsylvania, but that's a really, really camouflaged piece of bait. And we sell a lot of those outside Pennsylvania. So there any green jeans watching, we don't sell them here to people in Pennsylvania. But we've been very successful with that. We have a specific type of wood we use that actually takes everything and absorbs it. Now we have some customers have love-hate relationships with those. Our bear lollies, the same thing. I see you clicking there. Those are something. So that was the bear lolly and the lollies were not my idea at all. That idea actually came from Jim Harner's brother, Rich. He said, Barry, I used to buy these lollies. He says, they were great. He says, but you can't find them anymore. I need you to make lollies. So the mad scientists, we went to work and we created the first corn lollies and acorn lollies. And we took that to the shows, and our bear outfitters out of Canada and Alaska said, hey, man, you need to make this bigger for our bear. So we went back to the drawing board and we made them bigger. Like the bear lollies, we have them in 3 flavors. We have those in sweet candy, black licorice, and peanut butter. And,
Look at it there.
oh, yeah. We have an outfitter out in Idaho. I think we send 100, 150 of them out there to those folks this year. We have some outfitters in Canada, outfitters in Alaska that utilize those. They're more long-term. It's not a flash in the pan type thing. Like donuts immediately have a bear on there. These are typically last around 30 days, and they can gnaw on them. They have a piece of PVC in the center, so we wrap a chain around the tree. And I'm not going to say that those are Pennsylvania videos, but those are beautiful black bear in their video. Because you can't bait bear in Pennsylvania. I don't hunt in Pennsylvania. This is I stopped hunting in Pennsylvania. Period. I told you that story earlier, but
Yep. Yeah, and your reason makes sense.
Yeah. Last thing I do, I make products you can bait with, and last thing I want to do is shoot a beautiful buck here in the state of Pennsylvania, and give my company a black eye. That's not what we want to do. Even my protein blocks. That's one I love to talk about. I love talking about my protein blocks, my Apple Jacks persimmon pops. So our protein blocks is something we launched last year at this time. We had a product called Apple Jacks persimmon pops. These were our protein blends, and we wanted to turn that same exact package into a protein block. So it took some working. Again, we manufacture all of our products here to the point where we press our own blocks, every bit of it. Most of your protein blocks out there in the market today are not protein blocks for whitetail deer. Those blocks were designed for goat pens and sheep pens. There's those hard molasses licks with corn, a little bit of corn in them, usually 12, 13% crude protein. Well, if you ever notice they last for 2 months, well, there's a reason that, and nothing in the wild should last for 2 months because you want it to be consumed and eaten. So I went back to the drawing board, developed our Apple Jacks block, our persimmon plots block, as well as our Mayberry block. It's 18% crude protein, 100% designed for the white-tailed deer and their front bottom teeth, because that's what all deer have is those front bottom teeth. So it's easy for them to chew and consume. It's a bit of a softer block due to the ingredients that we use. And let me tell you, the longest we've ever had one of our blocks last in the wild is 7 days because they just get smashed.
So results on anything but deer, on any of your products, you have substantial. I know you said turkeys were a huge one.
The turkeys. I was told about the armadillo. That was a first for me, but the armadillos eat it. The turkeys eat it. The fox eat them. The Apple Jacks and persimmon pops. I know in Maryland where I hunt, I'll continuously have a fox come into my Apple Jacks and persimmon pops. So they tear it up. The bear, deer, elk here in the state, you can't feed elk in Pennsylvania, but I have great videos of elk just eating a deer mineral here in the state of Pennsylvania. Friends of ours property, when they first started using our products, they didn't have any deer on their property. They just, at their camp, they had nothing. And great friends of ours, personal friends, they started using our products. Now they have beautiful deer. They have bear rolling through there, and 2 big bull elks continuously rolling through there. Like when you see me post videos on our social media about the big bull elk, those are Pennsylvania bull elk. Last year, Monster Rack Adventures, who's an outfitter in Kansas, they had some big, beautiful bull elk come into their deer mineral sites. Now, here's the funny thing about Kansas elk: there aren't many Kansas elk in the state of. There aren't many elk in the state of Kansas. It's a very small population of 125, 150 elk, and they are hundreds and hundreds of miles. They're hundreds of miles away from where they hunt, and to see two big mature bulls free range wander. Now, I'm not saying my minerals pulled in there. That's there's no fallacy in that. I don't believe that, but to have them on that mineral site, to find that mineral site, two different bull elk was just really unique for us.
Oh, I imagine that's incredible. I mean, that's a lot of room to run.
Absolutely.
Chris
we
does
do
a phenomenal job of showing you stuff.
We do have an outfitter in Nebraska that's using our minerals this year, for the most part for elk. But I'm looking there at the same pictures. Right there, all the way to the right, that's Andrew. Andrew's lady there. I believe that I can't. I'm sorry. The picture's so small for me. They've been with us from the beginning. Right there, that young lady all the way on the left in the orange cap. That's Chonoke Outfitters out of North Carolina. It's an outfitter we started working with, and they're wonderful people. I can't thank them enough. They were with another company, switched over to us, and it's been a blessing. And they have some incredible deer on their property, and they're very thankful. And I hear from them all the time. I see their social media posts, and that's what helps us grow as well. It's because in this industry, a lot of word of mouth. That one all the way on the right, that's one of ours. I'm trying to see there, but it's a lot of word of mouth. Hey, what are you guys using? And it's really hard to change some people's minds sometimes, but when that word of mouth starts working and they start seeing the results in pictures and they see the results in harvests, it's okay. It's time to switch over. And again, that's been, if you go to an outfitter and you're continuously seeing big bucks at this free range outfitter, like, hey, what are you guys using? Well, they take that knowledge home with them. Sunfish Valley Whitetails out in Ohio, some great folks out there, Gary and the gang. They switched over to us 2 years ago using our minerals, and you'll see those coming up on our social media, some harvest pictures from those folks this year. They got some absolute giants out there. Now, they are using our minerals all summer, and then this time of year they'll switch into our pops, our persimmon pops, and our protein blocks, our persimmon blocks and our Mayberry blocks.
So is there a special way you recommend people use it?
So our minerals, for example, there's a couple different ways that we recommend using our minerals. We're actually working on a video right now as an instruction video. The first way is the common way, clear to 3 to 6 foot circle. And when I say clear to 3 to 6 foot circle, that doesn't mean you got to rake it up. That doesn't mean you got to, all I want you to do is take that top layer of leaves away, and that's it. If you take that top layer of leaves away, leave that compost layer there. And then we recommend for an average deer herd size, that 8-pound bag every 30 days. Every 30 days, you go out, recharge that mineral site. The second way I like to recommend using it, this is the way I use it all the time, is I like to find those soft, rotten logs. There's ones you can kind of kick your boot into and it opens them up. They're very fibrous. Well, I take those to transplant them from property to property, and I'll dump that bag inside that log. And what happens is that bonds to that log and controls those numbers as well. And those whitetail deer eat that entire log down to it's a splinter. Now, in that log, it's also loaded with natural fungi and proteins, so they'll eat that entire thing. And the last way is on a stump, which everybody typically does, except we recommend doing it a little differently. So everybody tells you to dump it into a stump or dump it on a stump. I'm going to tell you don't do that. That's where you lose those numbers again. Once you dump it inside that stump, all those numbers will go away because they're locked inside that stump. Now you just turn it into a salt spot. You don't want that. We recommend it's just pulling the leaves around the outside of the stump, pull the leaves away, and then pouring a ring around the outside of that stump. And what happens is they'll eat that entire root ball, those fingers of that stump all the way to the center, and you'll slowly see that stump just go away till it's nothing. And that's how we try to recommend using our minerals. Now, our Apple Jacks and persimmon pops, there's nothing special. Those are developed for everybody. You just take it out and you dust it on the ground. The bigger the broadcast area, the better. Don't put it on a pile. You just broadcast it out there. And what happens is let the aromas do the work for you. So what happens is they'll bond into everything around them, like the leaves and every bit of it, and that'll all get consumed. So you go out there and put it out. You come back 3 days later and you'll have a big spot because they ate all the leaves, they ate all the Apple Jacks, persimmon pops, they ate every bit of it. And that's how we try to use it. And like when I use it for bait down in Maryland or Delaware, I'll take a bag out maybe 2 days to a week prior to the season, prior to me sitting, and I'll throw a whole bag out. And then that morning I go to sit, I'll put another bag out. And for those that say you can't shoot big mature buck on a bait pile, you're full of it, because I've done it year after year now. And it can be done here in Pennsylvania. Like you said, you can't bait, but outside of Pennsylvania, it's a great go-to bait. Mike Austin, the owner of Trees and Camouflage, he just sent us his testimony and used that exact approach that I just recommended down in Georgia, and shot the biggest buck he ever had on this property. And we're very proud to be part of that.
That's incredible. I'll tell you what, I see what time we're at already, which is crazy. I didn't even know we were close to that.
I told you I like to talk.
Oh, I love it, man. Listen, I absolutely love it. I'm not upset at all. I just don't want to miss out getting you floated to other resources. So, where can you find your product?
So our products can easily be found on our website, forgetgenetics.com. And right now we're closing in on 100 stores right now across the East Coast, all the way as far west as Nebraska in the United States. If you go to our website, there's actually a button that says Our Locations. That'll take you to the dealer locations. It should pop up on almost every page down in the lower right-hand corner. If you click on that, right on the little blue thing down in the lower right-hand, it says Our Locations.
Right there.
If you click on that, it'll show you our dealer locations across the United States. We just actually picked up our first one in Ohio, which we're excited about that because there's more to come. We have a new dealer coming on board with us next week. We're getting ready to ship out to. So that's another route. And just call me. And this is God's honest truth. I do this more times than any, where I have a customer say, man, I just don't want to pay that shipping on a bucket. And I'm like, I don't want you to pay that shipping on a bucket because it's horrendous. We usually, almost all of our products are free shipping with the exception of the buckets. Those buckets are a bear to ship, but we ship them every day. But getting back to what I was talking about, if you call me and I'm traveling through Maryland, I'm traveling through Virginia, if I'm traveling through Delaware, I'll meet you. I can't tell you how many times I do that. My Delaware folks, you can contest this. My Maryland folks, even my Western 81 Virginia folks, I've been driving to Alabama and I've stopped and dropped 5 buckets off, 10 buckets off with somebody on the way. If I'm going to be in that area for a specific reason, I try to work it out where I can help you out. And it's just our way of putting our products in people's hands.
I love that. That's huge that you're willing to. I always say when we do our giveaways on Thursday, I like dropping it off and shaking their hand and getting to meet them face to face. So
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Let's talk prices. I know Chris had your website up, but let's just give a quick rundown. People are looking for your product. They want to buy it. They now know where to find the locations. Let's talk about what it runs and what the packages sizes it's in.
So our mineral packages come in both 8-pound bags and 40-pound buckets. So on our website, obviously, our prices are going to be slightly inflated due to respect out of our dealers. Like on our website, our prices are $16.99 a bag for an 8-pound bag of minerals. But that also comes with free shipping. So all those mineral bags right there, that $16.99 gets it to your front door. Typically, if your order is in today, we try to get it out the next day. If it comes in Saturday, obviously we got to wait till Monday. But yeah, we try to get it out of here at the same time. Our buckets now brings me to a point. In the stores, our suggested retail. So if you go to your local retailer, the suggested retail price is $11.99, and most of our dealers stick to that. Sometimes they're $12.99, sometimes they're $13.99, but most of our dealers do stick to the pricing. The buckets are $48. Now, I don't recommend shipping a bucket, buying a bucket on my website and shipping it. I'd rather have you buy it and pick it up here at Forget Genetics headquarters or me trying to meet you. But shipping for a bucket is as much as the bucket costs. Now, we ship on average about 5 to 10 of these buckets a week, which is crazy, but we do. We do ship. We have palleting, so we can ship LTL freight anywhere in the country. And typically, we work that out. Like, for example, you buy a pallet of buckets for me, $35 a bucket at wholesale. What we do is charge $35 a bucket. That comes with the shipping. Like it's $12.60, $13 something gets to your front door. The only time we charge extra is if there's a gate fee needed. But our Apple Jacks and persimmon pops, we sell those in both 6-pound bags as well as 18-pound bags. Those are down a little bit. And then we have our Apple Jacks blocks, our Persimmon Pops blocks, and our Mayberry blocks. That's funny, my blocks. So how we came up with the name Apple Jacks and Mayberry. So Apple Jacks is actually named after my grandson, Jackson. And my Mayberry blocks, which is a berry blend, is named after my granddaughter, Macy May. So that's where those two names actually come from. So we try, that's what I mean, but we're family. We try to keep it all in the family. But our blocks are 19 pounds. Conventional block is 20 pounds. We can make a 20-pound block. But what we found was our first avenue of sales for our blocks was not through our dealers. It was through our website. If we tried to ship a 20-pound block, it cost $22 to ship it. As soon as we dropped it to 19 pounds, 15 ounces, it dropped the shipping cost down to $7. So that's why we market our blocks at 19 pounds. So we have to keep them under the 20-pound mark for shipping. The only reason we did it is we want to get our products out to the customers.
That's insane, isn't it? How that works?
It sure is. It's like our buckets. We have to put our bucket in a box. If you don't put a bucket in a box, it's another $20 because it's now a regular shape. Like, you got to be kidding me. It's.
I've never understand this shipping stuff. I will never get it. It mind blows me, man. I'm so sorry. It mind blows me.
Absolutely. Now, we do have some T-shirts and hats as well available on our website. Right now, we don't have anything in stock. We're actually waiting for our orders to come in so we can get more of our shirts and some of our swag out there. We have gift certificates, our acorn lollies, our corn lollies. We're actually getting ready to run some more of those. We do have a few products coming here very shortly. We're just waiting on our labels to come in. That's our Mayberry Magic, which is our loose protein blend, similar to our Apple Jacks and Persimmon Pops. And then we'll also have our berry minerals. Those will also be available in 8-pound bags and 40-pound buckets. Right now, like I said, we're just waiting on our labels to get here. As soon as that's here, we're going to package it up. We're going to start pushing it out. One of my dealers asked me today, "Where's the berry at?" I got people asking for it. I'm like, we didn't even say we were doing it yet, but it's coming. We're excited about it. And again, we never put anything out there unless we tried it, unless we tested it. And that one there is a really good one. I'm really proud of that one. Just like a persimmon, I was very proud of our persimmon because most people in Pennsylvania don't even know what persimmons are, but they have great success with the persimmon here in Pennsylvania, which we're very proud of.
They know you're releasing it because they know if they want it, you're going to do whatever you can to make it happen.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
This whole conversation was about customers, and It was never about you. I didn't hear one time you say about you. I heard you say all about the deer and your family and customers. So that's incredible, and that's what it's about, right?
Yes, absolutely.
As we said before, without customer, there's no business. So I had so many good things said about you, Barry. I got to tell you that while we're live I heard nothing but great things about you. I heard nothing but great things about your product.
Well, I appreciate that.
I was super, super excited to get you on tonight because I was like, man, we got to hear more about it. Like this guy's passionate about what he does, just talking to people. And honestly, after being live with you, I can definitely tell you're very passionate about what you do.
Oh yeah. And I don't want to skip my dealers either. You're saying that my dealers, without my dealers, this whole thing wouldn't be successful. I mean, we give so much back to our dealers as far as taking the chance on us and giving us the opportunity to sell our products in their stores. Like me personally, I've tried to visit I typically try to be the first person to ever do a delivery at a new store, just so I can meet a person. Like we were just, my wife and I last weekend, there were 2 stores I never got a chance to visit. My wife visited them. I did not. So we hit the road. Centerville Trading Post and LGH Outdoors. We went and visited these folks, and we sat down and we talked with them. And we want our dealers to be part of our family. That's the way. I just don't want to sell a product to have that sit on their shelves, and they get mad. I want a product that goes on their shelves and helps feed their families as well.
Well, the one thing I don't want to do tonight is cut it short, but we are running close to our time limit.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody else before we go. When it comes to the hunting, fishing, or whatever you love to do the most outdoors, what would be your advice to any young newcomer or adult newcomer even that would want to join or be part of it?
Just get outdoors. I mean, just get outdoors and enjoy what God gave us, Mother Nature. You know, whether it's shed hunting, whether it's deer hunting, whether it's fishing, just get outdoors. Get away from your phone, get away from technology, unplug it for a minute, and go enjoy what we got, this gift we were given.
That's some great advice, and I love it. I appreciate it. And again, I apologize if we feel like we're cutting you short, but
Yeah, it's okay.
I got to meet a time limit. If I don't meet the time limit, you do not get uploaded to all the other stuff.
No worries.
And your product must be uploaded to all these other things so people can see how well it works and hear the success and the love behind it. So,
Well, I appreciate y'all.
no, I appreciate you, Barry. Thank you for joining us, and God bless. And as we always say, take somebody new outdoors. Take that child hunting. God bless.
Thank you.